Hey, 80s fans, this is Peter Dankelson from Pete's Diary, and you're listening to PC at DH on the DND Dynamite 80s podcast.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. I'm DH.
I'm DC.
And DH? DC, sorry.
It's early.
Been a long
It's early
day.
this morning.
Long day already. How's it going, brother?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, doing well.
It's Friday, so it's always
It's
good.
always a good day on Friday.
Right,
Got
right.
another great show coming up.
Absolutely.
Very special guest. I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So without further ado,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go ahead and introduce our special guest here.
Okay, we have Denise Waterman joining us from, I guess, the London area, right in that area somewhere in England. And I think it's the afternoon there, Friday afternoon. We appreciate you taking some time with us. And Denise has done a bunch of different things. However, we're going to get into, since we're an 80s podcast, we're going to talk some 80s stuff with Tight Fit, the group that she's been with, and they're still performing. And by the way, you need to get that new single that they have out.
You were telling me about that.
I got it. I've got it, and it's wonderful. And I've enjoyed playing it a lot. So we'll get into talking about that stuff as well. But Denise, how are you?
I'm doing very well, and all the better for speaking to you two handsome men.
Oh, well, thank you.
Her picture must be
her
out.
picture is messed up if we're handsome, that's for sure.
Thank you for joining us, by the way. I appreciate you taking your time to join us.
No problem. It gives me 5 minutes away from my mother. I've been looking after my mother since the beginning of lockdown. She's 86. And if I don't go to heaven, I'm telling you, there isn't one.
I understand.
Yes,
I understand. I've got a mother-in-law with a hip replacement staying in our home, so I understand completely where you're going with all that. So more power to you. That's for sure. Bless you. Let me ask this starting out. How did you get interested in wanting to perform and being in the performing business, like music and acting and stuff like that?
Well, my parents were professional singers, as were my two brothers. So it was inevitable that I was going to go in that direction, because at the age of 7, I went to stage school in London along with my brothers. And we did commercials and films and various other musical things from a very young age. And we used to follow my parents at their events that they used to perform at, and we were their guaranteed audience. So we'd clap like mad for everything. So I suppose if my parents had been librarians, I may not have gone into the industry.
May have went that route, yeah.
It's in the blood, I'm afraid. So
sure.
It's just the way it is.
Well, just kind of a follow-up on that. Can you kind of tell us how the group Tight Fit, how did that kind of come together?
Well, we were all already singers and dancers, and we were all with the same agent. And this audition came up. We all went along. In those days, there were probably 40 women in a room. I say women. We were girls. We were only 20. I'm a woman now. Together and trying to make up the right combination. And at that time, of course, ABBA was already around. And I don't know whether you've heard of a group called Bucks Fizz. Well, both of those groups are fours. So I think the record company were trying to create something different, but with the same appeal of having a dark-haired girl and a blonde girl, just to appeal to all sorts. So at the time I had dark hair. I'm now blonde, naturally, of course. And so we were like chopped and changed. We were there all day. And eventually they had 4 girls left and 2 boys. And they then said, okay, we're going to go with this combination. And the other boy was my brother. So had it not been Steve, it would have been my brother. But at the time, we both, obviously I had dark hair, he had dark hair, and we looked like Donny Marie Osmond. So it would have looked like the Osmonds with another person attached on the end.
Yeah.
But, luckily for me, I was picked and he wasn't. But he went on to great success in musicals in the West End. So I don't think he was that bothered.
Okay.
If I read correctly somewhere, I think in part of your acting um, business, you were on Benny Hill.
I certainly was. In fact, I was filming Benny show when I auditioned for Tight Fit, and I had to ask Benny to give me some time off in order to work with Tight Fit. And I didn't think he'd ever have me back on the show because he liked to have certain girls that he would have on the show every week. And he had two of everybody. So he had two buxom blondes and then two, dark haired, maybe petite. And if one wasn't doing the show, the other one would be. He very rarely had them both on the same show. And because I left to do something else, I thought, oh, he won't have me back. And then when Tight Fit broke up, 16, 17 months later, I got a phone call, would you believe? My parents had a pub at the time, and the pub phone rang, and it was Benny asking to speak to me. And I thought it was a joke. Anyway, I had a conversation with him and he invited me to lunch. So I went for lunch and he said, well, he was being a little bit awkward. I'm not sure I still need you on the show, Denise. But we're filming next week, if you've got time and you want to come back. So, of course, I went back. And so nothing was lost. I still managed to do both. So that was good. And just for the record, most people think that the Benny Hill show is men chasing women. It's actually the other way round. If you concentrate watching the end credits, it's normally women chasing men. So a little bit of
That's
information.
true. I never thought
I
about
hadn't thought
that.
of that till you said that. That's exactly right.
That was always that ending chase was
Yeah.
always one of my favorite
Yeah.
parts of the show. I don't
And
know
you did
why.
watch it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know about you, but you try running across a field in high-heeled shoes, wearing just your underwear and carrying a handbag. It's not easy. It's a talent.
You definitely a talent.
Let me before we move on from that show, the little guy that he used to do skits with all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. How did all that? I wonder how all that came about.
I don't know. I mean, he had quite a few characters on the show.
Yeah.
People that did it for years and years and years. And he was a very, very opposite character to the one that you saw as a performer. He was very quiet and very laid back. He wasn't at all a party kind of person, but to watch his shows, you'd get the impression that he'd be the life and soul of everything. But he was very introverted, actually, and quite sad because he was so successful. I actually think he was quite lonely. He often you would have events and invite all the girls to events and like a lunch or a dinner or whatever, but it was not, he didn't seem to have that many friends. I suppose it was very difficult for him to be friends with people because he was so successful. Who could he trust? I don't know.
Yeah. Let me ask this. We had Mike Reed on the show, and the Top of the Pops. Did you guys ever get on there?
Oh gosh, yeah, we were number one for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in
Why
fact,
didn't
I
you
was
know that?
I thought you knew.
working with Mike yesterday because we did a video. He's
Uh-huh.
got a new television show called The Heritage Chart
Yes.
TV show, and it's done in the same format as Top of the Pops. And he invited us to go and perform our new single on there. So we were with him just yesterday. But Top of the Pops, so here's the story with Tight Fit and Top of the Pops. It's quite a funny one. So we arrive at the station at Top of the Pops studios, and we got our costumes ready. At that time, we were probably 30 in the charts. So the record had been out a few weeks, and it was going up the chart. So therefore, we were invited to Top of the Pops. So we go along. And on the first ever show, Steve, the record company, had decided that Steve was going to wear a loincloth, just a loincloth. And he was worrying hell at the thought of just wearing a loincloth on stage and singing. I mean, it's not a normal outfit, is it?
Right.
So we walked out to do a rehearsal, and the director came running down from the gods and said to Steve, "What on earth are you wearing? Go and put some clothes on. You can't perform like that." So he then went to uh, see if he can get some clothes from somewhere. So he goes along to wardrobe and he gets khaki trousers, a string vest, and a headband. Not much more clothes because he had so many muscles. Obviously, he wanted to show those off. And anyway, so we did our performance, and then we carried on going up the charts. And when we got to number one, the record company was saying, maybe they'll let you wear the loincloth now because you're number one. And we were at number one for 3 weeks. So on the third week, we went to the studio, and lo and behold, if the director didn't come down and say, "Oh, you can wear the loincloth now, you're number one."
Yeah.
But Steve was still worried about it. And in fact, he did lose weight thinking, oh my goodness. But now we've had a few interviews over the last few months. And he does say, looking back, he's glad he did because it's something that everybody talks about. The fact that he wears this loincloth as a performer. You'd be glad to hear we don't wear those clothes anymore. And he definitely doesn't wear a loincloth. But I don't know whether you've seen the video, but we've got like a bit of a crazy video with a person in a suit as a lion, and then a gorilla comes up at the end. Well, I wouldn't say the story of my life, but the other girl ended up with Tarzan, and I ended up with a gorilla.
So yeah, kind of fit. Okay. Go ahead.
Why do you think 80s music just seems to just keep life? I mean, like with the Heritage Chart and all. And why do you think that is?
I think it's because music takes you back to a place and time, be it good or bad. And so many of the 80s songs and 70s songs, actually, I mean, I love the 80s for obvious reasons, but they're very wordy songs. Whereas nowadays, there doesn't seem to be a lot of emotion in the song.
That's true.
I'm beginning to sound really old now, aren't I?
No.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I think it's because to young people, it's new music, and to old people, it's music that was for them when they were young. And we've done quite a lot of festival type shows here in England, and a place called Butlins, which is a holiday park. And they have special weekenders called 80s weekenders. And you see all these 60, 65-year-olds, maybe 55-year-olds, all dressed up like they are 20 with rah-rah skirts and t-shirts, relax, and pretending that they are 20 again and living their best lives. So I think it's because music tells a story, and it's part of your memory of your life. And I just think it engages people.
DC, you want me to pull out my parachute pants and start wearing them again?
No, let's not do that. Let's not do that. No, you don't need your leather jacket either, Michael Jackson jacket. Let me ask this one as well, because I always loved. I asked Mike this. I asked Kevin Patterson from Fiction Factory when we had him on, and I want to get the same take or your take on this. Why has so many talented people come out of the British area in music like this?
You know what? I know the answer to that, but I'm Welsh. And they say Welsh people can sing, apparently. It's not definitely true, I may add. No, I think, do you know, England, when you look at the world, England is such a small piece of the world, but it seems to be able to overcome its smallness with its greatness and what it can do. I don't understand why. I don't know whether, I'm not very good in history, but, maybe years and years and years, thousands of years ago, we were connected to another country, which we became an island. I don't know. Maybe because the British are stubborn, determined, and wanting to prove a point. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. Awesome. Talk about the new song a little bit.
Okay, so we are so excited because none of us, if you'd asked us when we were 20, what do you think you'll be doing in 40 years? I can guarantee not one of us would have said, oh, we'll still be performing, putting on the leopard print. Yeah, we'll be going out there. We'd have probably said, retired, I don't know, going around the world or something. So we are so honored to have been asked by the record company, Energized Records, to record an album that is all new songs, because we did do an album in 2016 that was covers of songs, which was great. And we had remixes on there and it was very on trend. Listen to me sounding all young.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to do a new album of all new songs is just the best ever. And especially because they have given us such great songs. I mean, yesterday when we were recording with Mike Reed on his show, Lamal was there. Have you heard of Lamal?
Yes.
Well, he was there and he even came up to us and said, oh my God, I can't get your song out of my head. And when we went to get changed, he was singing it in the toilet. Seriously.
So in other words, he was not too shy.
He was not too shy.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We honestly, this song has just blown us away. And the Matt Pop mix, he's such a talented man.
Yeah.
But the next song has been mixed by a company called Seventh Heaven. And they do a lot of remixes as well. And we've heard it and we cannot believe it. Seriously, we keep thinking, maybe they don't realize it's us. They've given it to the wrong people. They should be giving it to Steps or ABBA. How on earth have we ended up with these songs? Because they what they've done with them is just so brilliant. And also, I defy anybody that doesn't know us, young or old, to listen to that song that's out now, Fallout. Obviously,
yes.
A little plug there. I defy anyone to say, oh God, that's three old people. You would not think it at all. So, maybe if they don't get to see us, it'll go further up the chart.
That's funny.
We've got our Zimmer frames all leopard printed up just in case in a few years' time we need them so we can do old people's home tours with choreographed mobility scooters and help.
Speaking of tours, coming off the new album, any upcoming plans or anything you want to share? Maybe shows coming up?
Well, we do quite a lot of private events because we don't mind how big or small the event is. So we do quite a lot of birthdays and corporates. So that tends to fill up our diary. But we are in talks at the moment as to what we'll do moving on with the album, whether or not we might do a small tour here in England, I don't know, or maybe combine it with another group. But all that is being spoken about at the moment. We're still in shock that we're back in the studio doing songs. Don't ask us to tour now as well. We'll probably have a heart attack.
It's kind of like we're in shock that people actually watch our podcast.
That's right.
It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
really?
All right. Where can the fans find all the information about you guys, Tight Fit, and about you yourself?
Well, obviously Instagram and Facebook are the first stops of call these days, I understand. So my daughters tell me anyway. And of course, we were supposed to do a TikTok yesterday and I forgot to do it. I'm so annoyed with myself. But my daughter works in social media and I spoke to her this morning and she said, Mum, with the greatest respect, I don't think TikTok is your area. I said, what are you talking about? There's loads of mature people on TikTok. She said, yeah, but no, I'd stick with Instagram. Cheeky devil. So we do have a a Tight Fit fan page on Facebook, which is Tight Fit fan page, ironically. And my Twitter, not my Twitter, I don't know the names of all these things. That's the problem. My Instagram is Waterman Cinders _tight fit. And any messages I get, I always answer to people. And Twitter, I don't know what I am. I need to have a look.
I think it's just your name.
I think it's Denise Waterman, but
It
it's not a
is?
number after it, is it? I don't
I think
think
that's
so.
correct.
I think so. I think it's just Denise Waterman,
Yeah.
and a mature lady smiling. We do have a website, but again, because we're so shocked that all of this is happening now, we haven't even updated it. So that is now in progress. So I'll have to get back to you on details of that, because I don't even know the name of it.
We will,
We'll send all that out.
definitely post everything about what's going on with you. Also, before we close out right here, what would you tell, what's some advice? Because this is a great story of kind of regenerating careers and all that good stuff. And especially at our age and things where you like kind of slowing down, but you still have desires to want to do certain goals or try to reach certain things in your life. What would be some advice you give?
Well, what's interesting is that I have reinvented myself so many times. You know, I was a dancer for 4 years. I never wanted to be a dancer, but it was the easiest way of getting work. And I wasn't the best dancer by any stretch of the imagination, but I got the jobs because I looked like I enjoyed it and I smiled, and nobody noticed that I wasn't the best dancer. So I wasn't going to tell them. The same thing happened when I was singing. I wasn't going to say you should be picking her, not me. I was going, yeah, pick me. So I was a dancer, a singer, an actress, knowing that I was bluffing slightly. The only thing I ever really wanted to do was be a presenter. And it took me, and I started working at 15 professionally as a dancer. So it took me till I was 30 to do what I'd actually set out to do. So at the age of 30, I got television shows in England for the BBC and various other things. But my goal was to be a presenter. But you know what? You can't have a straight line in life. You've got to take the opportunities that come. Because if you've only got a straight line, then half the enjoyment is the journey, not the arrival of most things, if you get my pun.
Yeah.
It's getting there, not being there.
Right.
And now I find myself, I work as a voiceover, I work as a presenter, and one of the funniest jobs I do, apart from the fact that Tight Fit are back together again, is I work as what's called a lifestyle model, which doesn't mean I'm a model. It means that I have 5 husbands and not one of them is real, and I get to send them home at the end of the day.
Now, that sounds like a plan.
There you go.
So any age group can become a lifestyle model, because it's about having real people in real situations. So just before lockdown, I found myself in the Bahamas with a pretend husband for 2 weeks for Royal Caribbean Cruise Liners. Not bad for a 2-week job.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Just 2 months ago, I went to Germany with another husband for 5 days on a cruise down the Rhine. And last week, I did a house selling job with another husband. I never know who I'm going to be working with, but it's definitely interesting. Yeah. And you know, I can keep doing this until I drop down dead, because all ages have to be in commercials. So I'm not stopping it anytime soon.
Awesome. Before we get out of here, DH, want to give out our best wishes to Meatloaf, family, fans, all that. Woke up this morning to the sad news to that.
He passed away.
Just an incredible performance. So we'll miss him for sure.
Definitely.
Oh God, yeah.
Definitely.
There's an empty hole down there.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely. Denise, we appreciate your time.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And we will definitely, yeah, we'll keep up with what's going on and promote promote your stuff on our site as well.
And maybe as everything kind of progresses, we'll touch base again and maybe have you back on. So we really appreciate you coming on.
Maybe I can get Steve to come and join me next
Oh,
time.
that
as
would
well.
be awesome.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That would be amazing.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Take care. You have a
day.
wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
And you, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Another great show.
Another great show.
Another great show. Great guest.
Absolutely. Wonderful guest.
What an amazing person.
So I'm DC.
And I'm DH.
All right.
And until next time, folks, be kind to everyone.
And play your 80s.
There you go.
All right. Take care. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you so much.
Thank you.